One-Armed Swordsman is a 1967 Hong Kong wuxia film produced by the Shaw Brothers Studio, directed by Chang Cheh, and starring Jimmy Wang. Now, the film features one of the first films to feature an anti-hero, violent swordplay, and heavy bloodletting, especially for the time period that it starred in. Now, it was actually part of a trilogy as well, and I'll get into the sequels eventually, whenever I can get around to them. But the plot involves the Golden Sword School that was attacked by bandits, and the servant sacrifices his life to save the master. In gratitude, he accepts his dying son into becoming one of his students. Now, later on, the other students of the school kind of despise him and want to beat him and show off that they're actually better than him. So they kind of fight, and the girl gets really mad, and she cuts off Jimmy Wang's arm and makes him pass out and fall into the river, thinking that they killed him. So later on, I'm just going to keep calling him Jimmy. Jimmy encounters a peasant girl who kind of nurses him back to health, and they kind of fall in love. He's able to practice a new swordsmanship for his one arm. And, well, he kind of gets depressed for, like, a long time in the film. It's kind of like, geez, get over it. But he's depressed for a lot, and that's where the film really slows down. Eventually, he learns how to use one arm for his swordplay, because it features a thicker broadsword, Chinese broadsword. I can't remember the name of it, but it's kind of like more for two-handed use, and he has to use his other arm, because I think his right arm got chopped off or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, then the master's preparing for a birthday, so he kind of invites everybody from around the world to come visit him. However, his old enemies, a guy named the Long-Armed Devil, as well as Smiling Tiger, try and use that opportunity of vulnerability for the birthday by attacking him and all of his students with a new type of weapon, which is called the hook swords. And if you're not familiar with them, just Google an image or something. It's pretty cool. It's a fascinating sword that has like a unique hook on the end of it, so it can kind of grab other people's weapons and leave them vulnerable. And they kind of display and show that off, how it works in the film itself, which is pretty unique, because you get to see like why the blade was very popular, what it was used for, and how they were viciously killing all the students that were practicing that technique with the one blade, and how they were overcoming them. Which brings me to the One-Armed Swordsman, and why he was so successful was his type of sword play didn't involve his sword, because he was using a broken blade that his father had, so it was actually shorter, so the hook swords weren't able to actually capture it, and that way he could defeat the bandits and the villains that were attacking the school. So in the end, he kind of fights off the villains and kind of saves the day and kills the villains. Now that brings me to the scoring, sadly, because I thought this would have been another great film, and maybe it was a generational thing, but the story, I rated it a 4 out of 10. Again, it's kind of serviceable. It's very, very slow and boring in the middle. Like, the beginning was kind of cool because he's kind of fighting his students, and then you don't know what happens to him because he loses his arm. Then he goes into a depression period for like half of the film, or really close to it. Then at the end, before that, you see the villains, and I believe they're more of the star of the film. The two main villains, the long-armed devil guy who uses like these cool spears on his back, as well as a whip, as well as Smiling Tiger, are some of the greatest and funniest villains that really kind of hold the film together and make it more serviceable. The music, a 2 out of 10. It was just really boring, sad, nothing really stood out, and I didn't have anything redeemable about it, I'm afraid. Same with the effects. The effects might be a generational thing, but something about these 60 films maybe I just have to get more familiar with, but a 2 out of 10 on the effects. Just the blood work, the fighting with the weapons and stuff. I mean, you just have to see it for myself if you really want to. Which brings me to the fighting score, which was also a 2 out of 10. The few fights that there were, again, like kind of at the beginning, it was very slow. The middle didn't really have anything, and most of the fights ended within a few seconds anyway of them just killing the students, or the ending fight, which was probably the best part, but it was just something off about it. I don't know. So anyway, my overall score was sadly a 2 out of 10. This might have been my least favorite film by far. It was just very slow. Nothing really redeemable about it, except maybe if you like hook swords and you get to see like how they're used on people, as well as the two villains, which kind of made the film, was the long-armed devil guy and the smiling tiger. They're really funny and awesome to watch whenever they're on screen, but like poor Jimmy, like he was just sad and depressed for over half of the film, and I couldn't really get into his character, and I don't know. I would probably pass it. I wouldn't really recommend it. I will check out the other films to see if they're any better, but as far as this one goes, I would probably skip it.